When we talk about abuse, we often focus on the physical aspects, but there's another form that's just as dangerous, if not more so. It's certainly harder to recover from, and it often flies under the radar. That's coercive control. You might have heard this term recently, especially with the high profile cases like the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, where the term coercion and coercive control have been mentioned frequently. But what exactly does coercive control mean, and how does it affect people in different types of relationships? In this video, I'm going to break down what coercive control looks like, how it plays out in personal, professional, and parental relationships, and why it's so hard for victims to get away. I'll also be tackling the hugely ignorant statements I often hear when this topic comes up. That would never happen to me, and why don't you just leave? I'm Jo Banks. I spent almost 20 years as a senior HR professional before setting up my coaching practice 16 years ago. Since then, I have worked with tens of thousands of people to help them achieve happier, healthier lives. And I'm sharing what I know. Before we get started, can I ask you a huge favour? Only a tiny number of my viewers subscribe, like, or comment, and it really makes a huge difference to the algorithms. It's completely free, and if you don't have a YouTube account, that's free too, and it takes seconds to set up. You'll never get emails from me. I don't even get to see those details, YouTube or anyone else. Your support really makes a massive difference in helping me produce this free content. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So let's start with the basics. What is coercive control? Coercive control isn't about a single instance of abuse. It's a pattern of behaviours designed to manipulate, intimidate, and dominate another person. It's psychological, emotional, and manipulative, and it can be way more damaging than physical abuse because it actually chips away at a person's independence, confidence, and mental health. Here are some examples of what coercive control can look like. Number one, constantly monitoring or tracking someone's movements. The abuser may monitor the victim's movements by constantly asking where they've been, who they've been with, and checking their phone for messages or calls. In some cases, they may install tracking apps on the victim's phone or use social media to keep tabs. This creates a feeling of being constantly watched and erodes the victim's sense of privacy and autonomy. In intimate relationships, this can look like checking the victim's phone, again, installing tracking apps, or demanding constant updates on where they are. In work relationships, it may involve micromanaging, asking for constant progress updates, or keeping tabs on you, whether you're on or offline on Teams. In an adult-parent relationship, a controlling parent may constantly ask where their adult child is, who they're with, and make them feel like they've constantly got to check in, even though they're an adult and may not even live with them. Number two, isolating from friends, family, or other support networks. The abuser isolates the victim from their support system by discouraging contact with friends, colleagues, or other family members. Over time, the victim feels more dependent on the abuser and more cut off from anyone who could offer help or perspective. This deepens the emotional isolation. In intimate relationships, the abuser might make the victim feel guilty for spending time with others, or may make them feel like their loved ones don't care about them or understand them. Another common one in personal relationships is convincing the partner that their friends or family don't like the abuser and so discourage them from seeing them. when in fact, actually, probably the family or friends don't like them because they can see right through the abuser, which is a massive threat to their overall control. In work relationships, this can manifest as preventing employees from networking or socially interacting with co-workers, not inviting them to important meetings, or excluding them from WhatsApp or group chats. This undermines their psychological safety, let alone career opportunities. In an adult-child-parent relationship, the parent may undermine the child's relationship with their friends, partners, or other family members by using gossip or saying that no one understands them like they do, leaving the adult child feeling insecure and emotionally dependent on the parent. Number 3, controlling finances or access to resources. The abuser controls the victim's access to money or other resources, often by limiting their spending, controlling bank accounts, or withholding money. This forces the victim to be financially dependent and making it difficult for them to leave or make independent decisions about their life or future, and in a work scenario, potentially a project that they're working on, not having the resources to be able to deliver it. In intimate relationships, this might look like one partner controlling the household finances, limiting the other's ability to spend or save, or ultimately to leave them. Financial abuse is extremely common in coercive control relationships. In work relationships, a manager might withhold resources or deny access to necessary tools to complete the job, making the employee feel helpless or dependent. In adult-child-parent relationships, a parent might control their adult child's access to money or resources, refusing to help them financially or making them feel guilty for needing assistance. They may also use coercive control by threatening to disconnect from that child and withholding any inheritance. These types of behaviours in a younger adult can prevent them from gaining independence. Number 4, gaslighting, making them doubt their own reality. Gaslighting involves the abuser denying events or conversations to make the victim question their perception of reality. They may say things like, "That never happened, you're imagining things." And these types of statements confuse the victim, making them doubt their own memories and leading them to believe that they are indeed the problem. In intimate relationships, the abuser might outright deny past events or accuse the victim of being overly sensitive when they express discomfort or concern or try to confront them about something that the abuser has done. In a work relationship, a manager may deny giving instructions or feedback, making the employee question their competence or memory of events. In adult-child-parent relationships, a parent might dismiss the child's feelings or recollections, saying things like, "Oh, you're just being dramatic," or "That's not how it happened," leading the adult child to doubt their own experiences. It's essential to recognise that one of the characteristics of coercive control is a lack of personal responsibility. In other words, the abuser will do anything they can not to take responsibility for their actions, and they will do anything possible to avoid taking responsibility and apportion blame to anyone other than themselves. Number 5, regularly humiliating, threatening, or intimidating. Humiliation and intimidation are used to keep the victim in line. The abuser may mock, belittle, or publicly embarrass the victim, making them feel worthless. Threats like, "No one could love you like I do," or "I'll ruin your life or your career if you leave," are meant to create fear and maintain control over the victim's actions. In intimate relationships, this can look like insulting or demeaning the victim in front of others, or making threats about their future, or even harm loved ones if they leave. In work relationships, a manager may publicly humiliate an employee, undermine their confidence, or threaten their job security. In an adult-child-parent relationship, a parent may humiliate their adult child by belittling their achievements, making cruel comments, or threatening to cut them off emotionally or financially if they don't comply with their wishes. Number 6, limiting their freedom to make independent decisions. The abuser limits the victim's ability to make decisions by controlling aspects of their daily life, like what to wear, where to go, who to talk to, what meetings they can attend. By taking control of even small decisions, the abuser undermines the victim's confidence and autonomy, making them feel incapable of making choices without permission. In intimate relationships, the abuser might dictate what the victim wears, who they spend time with, where they go, restricting all of their personal freedom. In work relationships, this could mean micromanaging or making decisions on behalf of the employee without allowing them to make their own choices. In adult-child-parent relationships, a parent may attempt to control every aspect of their adult child's life, deciding on their career, who they have relationships with, who they get married to, or even where they live, limiting the adult child's autonomy and decision-making capacity. Coercive control in personal relationships. Coercive control is most closely associated with intimate partner relationships, and for good reason. In these situations, the abuser may start off by being overly affectionate, even what we call love bombing, or another term often used is idealization, where the partner is bombarded with attention and affection by the abuser. However, over time, this relationship shifts. Subtle control tactics creep in, questioning partners' decisions, restricting their social interactions, and isolating them from family and friends. Eventually, the victim feels like they cannot make any decisions without their partner's approval. It's not just about being mean or demanding, it's about controlling every single aspect of their life, siphoning away their independence bit by bit until the victim feels completely trapped. And when they do try to speak up or leave, they're often met with gaslighting, threats, or even emotional blackmail, making it even harder to break free. Coercive control in professional relationships. Coercive control doesn't just happen in romantic relationships, it also plays out in professional settings. It's even happened to me. I've witnessed it both personally and throughout my professional career. Whether it's a boss who demands constant updates, manipulates your work to make you feel incompetent, or uses subtle threats to control your behaviour, the goal is the same: to create fear and dependence, and utterly to have control over you. The abuser wants to have power over you, using your work performance or career progression as a means of control. In work environments, this might look like an employer who micromanages every decision, undermines your confidence in front of others, humiliates you, puts you down, gives you impossible demands, makes you feel like you're never good enough and what you do can never be good enough. Over time, this can cause stress and burnout, affecting both your physical and mental health. In some cases, employees even start doubting their abilities and feel unable to trust their judgment anymore. Their confidence is severely diminished and their self-esteem on the floor. When this happens, leaving a coercive work situation can be just as difficult as leaving an intimate relationship, especially if the victim feels like they have no other career options or the abuser has isolated them from other opportunities. I have another video on coercive control in the workplace. I'll leave the link below. Coercive control in parental relationships. Coercive control can also appear in parent-child relationships, even in adulthood. often in a way that is deeply damaging. For example, a parent might overly control their adult child's every move, limit their freedom, and undermine their independence under the guise of care or protection. In extreme cases, this can severely prevent a child from growing up with the confidence and autonomy they need to navigate the world as an adult. Typically, this control does not stop when the child reaches adulthood. In fact, unless strong boundaries are put into place once the child reaches adulthood, it will usually continue until the parent is no longer with us. This type of coercive control doesn't always look like outright punishment or control. It comes in the form of emotional manipulation, such as guilt tripping the adult child or making them feel responsible for the parent's happiness. Over time, the adult child may become emotionally dependent on the parent, feel unable to trust their own judgment, or feel guilty about wanting independence, which can then impact every aspect of their life, including intimate partner relationships, as well as their careers. The slow build, how coercive control works. One of the things that makes coercive control so dangerous is that it develops gradually. At first, the victim might not even realize what's happening because the manipulations are so gradual. The abuser might come across as loving, caring, supportive, or protective at first, whether that's a partner, boss, or parent. But over time, the small, insidious tactics add up, and before long, the victim's sense of self starts to erode. In the case of intimate relationships, the abuser may start by making comments like, "I'm just worried about you," or "I'm only trying to help you make the right choices." It can even look like jealousy or possessiveness, which might feel flattering at first, but quickly morphs into controlling behaviour. In a work situation, a manager might claim, "I'm just trying to help you succeed." But behind that is the idea of controlling your every move, questioning your every decision, and manipulating situations to make you feel helpless. In parental relationships, it might look like, "You know you don't always make the best choices. I'm just looking out for you because I love you so much." Why don't they just leave? I see this in the comments sections in many social media posts, and it just really makes me cringe. It's easy for people on the outside to ask, why don't they just leave? The problem is that the question ignores just how difficult it is for someone who is experiencing coercive control to walk away. Whether it's a controlling partner, a manipulative boss, or an overbearing parent, leaving is never as easy as it seems. Coercive control traps the victim in a psychological and emotional bind. In personal relationships, the abuser makes them feel like they can't live without them, while in professional settings, the victim might feel like they have no other job options because their confidence has been so eroded by months or even years of a drip, drip, drip of constant abuse. In parental situations, the victim may feel immense guilt for wanting independence or feel like they owe the parent everything. When people ask why don't they just leave, it's hurtful. It invalidates the victim's experience and makes them feel even more alone. Next, we have another comment. "That would never happen to me." It's another one that makes me cringe and is so ignorant. Saying "that would never happen to me" when it comes to coercive control is not only unhelpful, but it's simply wrong. Coercive control can happen to anyone, regardless of age, gender, background, relationship status. The tactics used by abusers are often so subtle, gradual, and massively manipulative, often making it difficult to recognise until it's way too late. People who are confident, independent, and self-assured can fall prey to manipulation because coercive control doesn't look like what we expect it to, and it never starts off that way. It's not always about overt aggression or obvious signs of abuse. It's about slowly wearing down somebody on a drip, 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 day by day basis and undermining their confidence and autonomy and sense of reality. And this can all go on very covertly, very subtly. No one is immune to this type of psychological manipulation, which is why it's so important to recognize the signs and offer support without judgment. The damage coercive control does. The toll of coercive control is far-reaching. Victims often experience anxiety and depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or the harder to treat complex PTSD, chronic stress and sleep symptoms, weight gain, weight loss, low self-esteem and self-doubt, a lack of trust in others, difficulty forming healthy relationships after the abuse is over. Coercive control doesn't just leave psychological scars, it saps a person's ability to trust themselves. It can affect their career, their relationships, and even their ability to feel happiness or fulfillment. Why support is so important. If you suspect someone is dealing with coercive control, it's crucial to offer non-judgmental support. Don't ask why they haven't left or say that that would never happen to you. Instead, let them know that you believe them and offer them a safe space to talk without the fear of judgment. Help them find the resources they need, whether that's therapy, legal support, or just someone to lean on and listen to them. If you're in the UK and experiencing interpersonal coercive control, there are a number of resources to help you, such as Refuge, Women's Aid, and the National Domestic Abuse Helpline. The number is underneath here. Legal protections in the UK. In 2015, the UK made coercive control a criminal offence under the Serious Crime Act. This means that anyone caught engaging in coercive control can now be prosecuted. This is a huge step forward in recognising the damaging effects of this kind of abuse, but it's still a work in progress. We need to continue to raise awareness, educate people on what coercive control looks like, and provide resources for survivors to rebuild their lives. The wrap-up. Coercive control can affect anyone, regardless of the relationship, whether romantic, professional, or familial. The slow, insidious nature of this type of abuse makes it incredibly difficult to recognise at first, and even harder to leave when you finally realise. Comments like, "Why don't you just leave?" or "That would never happen to me," are not only unhelpful, but they can be hurtful and also add to the abuse. They simplify the complexity of coercive control and fail to acknowledge how deeply manipulative and gradual this abuse can be. It's not about just walking away, it's about breaking free from a cycle of control and emotional manipulation. By understanding the signs, offering support, and encouraging victims to seek help, we can help them break free and rebuild their lives. If you or someone you know is experiencing coercive control, remember you do not have to go through it alone. There is help available. You are not alone. What next? If you have anything you'd like to add to today's video or any topics you'd like to see me cover in future, please leave them in the comment section below. I read and respond to everything and really love interacting with you all. If you enjoyed this video, can I ask a huge favour, please? Please support this channel with a like, comment, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. It's completely free, and if you don't have a YouTube account, it takes seconds to set one up, and that's completely free too. You'll never get emails from me, YouTube or anyone else, and it really does make a massive difference in helping me grow this channel. Finally, thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your support. It really means the absolute world to me. Thank you.